You are Mintel's new global packaging analyst, and you're filling some pretty big shoes now that David Lutenberger, who was the global packaging director there at Mintel, a very famous person in the packaging industry, is retired now. So before we hop into the topic at large here about packaging predictions, which we'll get into, tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, huge shoes to fill. David's content was, just so invaluable. And I've learned so much from him, even just onboarding onto the role and all the contributions. So very big shoes to fill, but I am very excited to fill them. So yeah, I'm Lauren Ryder. I have spent all of my time in brand package development, in the weeds, developing, launching new products, and working on packaging innovations and packaging trends all across CPG brands and beauty brands as well. So I started my career off at Colgate-Palmolive. That's where I learned all my foundational knowledge. I started in the personal care brand, working under Irish Spring and Soft Soap and the men's Speed Stick and ladies Speed Stick deodorant. And I touched so many different types of materials and launched a lot of cool projects. Worked on a lot of plant industries, from cost reductions to quality, and was able to work on a lot of different things. Worked on oral care as well, so made the change from personal care to oral care. And I spent 6 years at Colgate and loved my time in CPG. Even I did a short-term assignment at one of their plants in Italy. So really great experience to go to Rome for the summer and, work in a plant right outside. And it
Oh,
was
twist
fabulous.
my arm.
Oh, it
Twist
was
my
great
arm.
experience. Yes. So, even though based in North America, it was a great experience to, learn about how like the Europeans work and, just great culture as well as great experience as well. So loved my time there. But when I was in school, I always thought it would be so great to do packaging for beauty. So when an opportunity came to work at Revlon, I knew I had to do it. And I worked under the brand Elizabeth Arden, which is an iconic brand that's been around for over 100 years. And they've done so much great stuff in the skincare world. So I worked on their skincare team. And one of the things I'm the most proudest of in my career was I launched an entire skincare line under Elizabeth Arden called
Oh, which one?
White
Oh,
Tea Skin Solutions. Yes.
yes.
So
Hmm.
it came out, it was a global launch, started in Australia in 2022, came to the US in 2023. And what was really cool about White Tea was it was the first time Elizabeth Arden really ever did a lot of sustainability claims in packaging. So PCR inclusions went from anywhere from 30% to 100%. And that was kind of a new territory for Elizabeth Arden. So it was really exciting to drive in those claims. And you know how launches go. It's 5 different products, it's 8 different contract manufacturers, all launching together at one time. Nothing can be late, everything has to be right. And it was such a fun learning experience. And it was so great to see everything come together. So that is one of my proudest moments is, to launch a whole line.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So, did a lot of great things at Revlon and, really wanted to divest into other areas of the beauty industry. So when an opportunity came at Estee Lauder, I was very interested and I joined the team 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And I worked for the brand MAC Cosmetics, where I did all of the face and face color category launches across the globe. So very fun. I mean, MAC is one of those brands that is, very innovative, very fast, speed to market. And, my 2.5 years there, I launched so many new products, everything from concealers to liquid blushes to compacts, powders, liquid foundations. So I just, worked on a lot of really great stuff, got a lot of really great insights. And when I was thinking about what my next career move looked like, I always thought it would be packaging supplier side, kind of doing innovation, kind of some of that R&D background. But I still wanted to keep creativity top of mind. So when the opportunity came at Mintel and I saw the job posting, I said, wow, like this really sounds great to do some of the client work, do consulting, give my opinion, keep on top of what's going on in the industry, but then also kind of be this voice. And under such a great platform like Mintel, I mean, they're always driving great conversations, and I thought that'd be a great place to contribute. So, 3 months in, and I'm really excited, and I'm in, and I'm ready, and I'm really liking what I'm doing so far.
Great. Well, quite a history. I love
Yeah,
that it's actually boots on the ground, because that
yeah,
gives you a perspective where you can talk both, peer to peer, but also as a value to the packaging manufacturers that our Mintel clients also have that from the customer's perspective, which
exactly.
is invaluable to them, invaluable.
Hmm.
So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. I'm so excited to get into this because one of the things about Mintel is they are always very creative and right on the money with their predictions. What are your predictions? Let's say for the rest of 2025, just to get a sense of where 2025 might end and then why. And then after that, we'll talk a little bit about 2026.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, one, I just can't believe how much this year's already flown. But I think it's very interesting to see in general, packaging innovation for all new launches has been on the decline for this year. And that is for a lot of reasons. We see just, there's people are purchasing less. There's some concerns about tariffs. So there's contingency issues, and supply chain. So we're seeing some of this innovation kind of slow. So I think this is a really good opportunity to kind of take inspiration from other industries who are doing innovation right, and how can we apply that. That's always been very helpful to me in my career, is kind of taking advice from food and beverage or home care trends and seeing how that can incorporate. Beauty and personal care is kind of one of those, first speeds to market. That's kind of where we start to see trends and innovations go. And, I think people in home care could take, a look at what beauty is doing, and, maybe they can capitalize on skincare trends, or, some of these really luxurious scents that we're now seeing, and bringing that into homescape and kind of give a new take of what self-care is, and bringing that into home. Home care could be self-care. So I think it's, kind of fun as we're seeing, this innovation dole, is to kind of inspire and draw some freshness into the space. And that would be, I think, a good way to end 2025. So that way, 2026, there's anticipation, there's been plans, we'll have an idea of what the future will look like, and, maybe there will be some execution.
Mhm. For 2025, though, when you talk about innovation, um, in recent years, a lot of the innovation had been around focused on sustainable packaging.
Mm-hmm.
I am finally starting to see a little bit of a loosening of that, and brands are really, I believe, realizing that yes, sustainable packaging does need attention, but no longer at the total dearth of attention on other things like packaging functionality and graphics. There are a lot of new graphic techniques that I think brands are excited about these days. Are you seeing that as well, that it's no longer just like blinders on?
The black.
Definitely sustainability is still big, but no longer just the only thing. Are you seeing that too?
Yeah, definitely. I think at first when sustainability came out, it was the sole focus, but other things were kind of lost in the background. And I think we're learning from consumers that sustainability is still not the top driver in purchasing decisions. So, it's things like convenience, it's functionality, it's protection. Still, those are going to be like your top, no matter what industry you are in. So performance still matters. So yes, brands are starting to recognize that. What I think is nice, and where this does kind of blend in sustainability, is the innovation seems to be simpler. It's more intuitive to use. It's easier designed. It's less materials used, and that has a sustainability story to it as well. So, I think it's nice to start to bring some of those functions and kind of the openings and the dispensing innovations back into it, because it was so focused on one way that, we needed to bring excitement to another.
You did talk about, of course, in this day and age, how could we not talk about the economics? The situation right now for consumers are, a little tight as
Yeah.
um, some of the pricing situations that they find themselves in makes it hard to afford. Uh, Definitely maybe those luxury items, but even maybe some of the basics. And I'm not really seeing a whole lot yet of, brands are conscious of this, but I haven't seen much of it changed in the packaging presentation. Am I missing something here? Are you seeing that? Or is
So,
it pretty
what
much
I've
like
seen
still a catch
is
up?
it's smaller sizes in these luxury items. So that way it's
Okay.
more affordable for a consumer to indulge when it is just a little travel size or a smaller
Mhm.
size. So I personally have been seeing a rise in mini sizes, which may not necessarily be new to, packaging, a company. They may have these mini sizes available. It's just now bringing more products into that format, because it's not just a product that's used for on the go anymore. People are using these minis for everyday life because it's just a
Yes.
little bit more affordable for them, and then they feel good about buying it. So that is
Yeah.
kind of what I am seeing. It's almost like a switch in behavior. Instead of buying in bulk, you're buying the nice small things to, get that little indulgence that's affordable.
Yes, actually, that's a good point. I also have heard that a lot of the younger generations, specifically Gen Z, do like to trial a lot.
Yeah.
And the trial size is perfect for them to, hello, trial. So that is another good point that you make about the package format. And it all makes sense. It all
Yeah. The
makes
minis are
sense.
cute to Gen Z.
Yeah. Um, I think they're cute to anybody.
They
I
are
think they're
cute.
cute to
I've
anybody.
always enjoyed the
Yeah.
the minis that, sometimes I think they tend to get forgotten about, but really,
Mhm.
that's the thing you see in line at checkout at a Sephora or an Ulta is all of the minis, and it's what catches your eye at the checkout line that you want to buy. So,
Yep.
don't ignore it. There's a good opportunity there.
Okay. So Lauren says minis are max.
Exactly.
Okay. All
Minis
right.
are
That's
max.
a good wrap up for 2025. So
Hmm.
let's look forward just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, do you already have some ideas of predictions for 2026? Maybe even just, early 2026. We don't have to go that far
Yeah,
out.
early 2026 is great. We've started to write packaging trends, which will be published on the Mintel site in February of 2026. So we're starting and to start writing about this. So I don't want to share too much before its publishing date in February, of course. But the thing that I think is, very interesting to focus on, and what I am prioritizing in these trends, is creating that circular economy for packaging, and really defining all of the ways you can recycle, and, building the infrastructure to, actually have a market to do so. We're seeing Europe and packaging waste regulations go into effect. Now 2025 has passed, 2030 will be here right around the corner. And I think we have a lot to learn from Europe. We're starting to see some individual states pushing through that legislation, very similar. So I think, it'll be very interesting for North America to kind of learn about, what's going on in Europe, what legislation is going to happen in the US for EPR, and, how can, we comply, and, what can we do? What are those key milestone dates? So, that's kind of where I think a good priority will be, and that affects every category, that affects
Yes.
everyone. It's a product, and it's a problem. So, I think that that's a big thing that desperately needs some attention and, want to bring some focus and what can brands do?
I love that you're talking about circularity rather than just, packaging recycling. And I know recycling is part of it. It's a
It's part
big
of it.
part of it. But there's so much more to circularity than just recycling. And, there's still a lot of challenges with recycling, at least here in the United States. Other countries have got it a little bit more figured out than we do, I think. But from the circularity point of view, I just have to ask, because you are a consumer insights company, do you think the consumer, yeah, within the packaging industry, anybody who is doing anything where regarding sustainability is familiar with the term circularity, the term
Hmm.
and what it means. Do you think consumers are, should brands be switching up their messages to consumers
Yeah.
to speak to them a little bit more broadly, or like what do you think from the consumer's perspective?
I think there definitely needs to be some transparency. Just even talking to friends and family, people who don't know anything about the packaging industry, there's just so much uncertainty about what can be recycled, what cannot, what recycling even means. I mean, there's a lot of it that is unclear, doesn't make sense. And I think it's up to the brands to show and be a little bit more transparent about how to recycle, what actually happens during the process, and maybe it's examples of, hey, this is your, if we recycle this bottle, it will turn into another bottle. It's simple messaging like that. So I think they can educate, but consumers are smarter too, so they can use, they can talk about big concepts like circularity, and I do think they'll get it. So I do invite brands to be more transparent and to give more information, because that helps everyone in the end. And consumers do want to know. It's just they want the information to be a little more clear, which I totally understand.
Okay, great. Appreciate you sharing that, Lauren. I have one last question for you, if I could, since
Sure.
I've got you, uh, holding you captive here. So, what do you see as the greatest challenge today for packaging professionals, and why? And then, not to put you on the spot, but if you've got any ideas for how to resolve it, that would be great too.
Of course. Well, first off, creating the circular economy is going to be a big challenge. It's not going to stop for packaging professionals, and it affects everyone, from the raw materials to the converters to the brands, all the way down. So that is a really an all hands on deck. Thing that every side of a packaging professional will need to solve. Obviously, I don't have solutions for every single facet of that, but I think right now it's important that we all work together, from the raw materials providers to packaging suppliers, the brands, to kind of come up with a game plan to, help provide, help, strategize, and kind of come up with these, this infrastructure. I think that that is, the main key. And also, with the state of the world today, I also think packaging professionals are going to run into contingency problems with packaging, materials and raw materials now more than ever. That can be because of tariffs, changing, some suppliers, raw material shortages. I mean, we're now seeing natural disasters at ports and, key cities. I think global phenomenons like COVID can have disruptions with supply chain. So I think now more than ever, it's very important for these packaging professionals to find backups, and backups for those backups. So that way they're prepared and can still deliver packaging to, be filled and produced uninterrupted. And my advice there is, keep connected, keep within the industry, go to the trade shows, talk to the competitors, talk to all the players, keep connected. So that way you can build these relationships and you know who to call if, unfortunately, disaster does tend to strike your business that day. I mean, everyone who's worked in packaging has always had something, whether it's a flood shut down a plant or, someone going out of business and you need a new resin supplier. So it's just keeping nimble. It's knowing who your players are and, staying ready.
Mhm. All great advice. Thank you, Lauren. I know it gets a little trickier for some of the industries like pharmaceuticals and medical that are a little bit more regulated
Of
and
course.
have that. But one of the things that I love about what you've said is that it's not just the set answer of, oh, buy local, uh, because as we know, we're trying to get more manufacturing back here in the
Mhm.
US, but if there aren't any local suppliers, you still have to get it from somewhere.
You have to get it
So,
from somewhere. Exactly.
yes,
Exactly.
yes,
So, globalization is a good thing that you have options everywhere. So,
yep,
take advantage and, make partnerships.
yep. Have a plan B and a plan C. I like it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wonderful. Lauren, thank you so much.
Thank you so
Great
much.
advice, and thrilled to get to know you a little bit.